Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP, and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. It's our monthly Ask the Mayor episode. That mayor is Freddie O'Connell. He's in the studio here. I assume he scarfed down his sandwich as usual on the way here so he could be energized to answer our questions and yours.
You're missing the order, Blake. I usually do it after.
Well, I've seen you eat a sandwich in the break room before this.
It was a
one
exception.
Okay,
yeah.
An exception. All right, the sandwich is coming, so let's work in those questions first. I'm going to launch in with a few from the newsroom here at WPLN, but that's really just to give you time to dial in. The number is 615-760-2000. What does Nashville's mayor need to hear about that maybe wouldn't reach his desk in a normal week? What are you seeing in other cities that you'd like to see here? He's in the hot seat. Take advantage, 615-760-2000. We're also streaming video on YouTube today. If you're watching at youtube.com/@WPLN, you're welcome to leave a question in the chat, and we'll try to work it in. Bonus points if you leave us our first name, so I don't just have to have your YouTube handle to work with. All right, 615-760-2000 is the number. So, Mayor O'Connell, let's start with the airport debacle, if that's the right word. On Monday, traffic at Nashville International locked up for, a lot of the day. We saw these pictures, people ditching their ride shares, walking to flights. Apparently, a confluence of like a couple of conventions, people flying out from the Titans game versus the Rams. The rideshare drivers that came through on Monday is like on a typical Monday is maybe 6,000. The Tennessean reports it was somewhere close to 14,000. Was this just a fluke?
As best I can tell, Blake, it was. I mean, you probably know this. You kind of, more or less, you come off of TDOT right-of-way, however you're coming, Interstate, Donaldson Pike, to gain access to the airport. And then as soon as you're there, you're on their property. So it's kind of it's interesting in that it is a city issue, but not a metro issue per se. And I will say, I think as a result of that, we even were a little bit late to the game on understanding exactly how bad things were getting out there. And so we're working on making sure we have improved open lines of communication with airport leadership on matters like this. I know their board is asking some questions. I do think a couple of reflections on this. One, it highlights how important Choose How You Move is, our transit improvement program, where airport access is one of those key elements. The Greater Nashville Regional Council has actually just added airport access as a regional issue for us to consider, and I think that's important as well. But as we evaluate Choose How You Move, this is one of the things. I know, obviously, there's a natural tie-in to the Boring Company proposal here.
So this is the tunnel that would go. I mean, if so many of these ride shares were coming from downtown, conventions, people staying at downtown hotels, it would seem to potentially help.
And so, unfortunately, I think where we have been left is it's hard for us now that we're having to do diligence on that. We had anticipated Murfreesboro Pike being a top priority corridor for implementation and Choose How You Move, and we've kind of had to revert to a posture of diligence to make sure that can still work. What I think we're going to wind up with, and this is what's so interesting about the timing, is we're very likely to recommend that express airport access via traditional bus service along Murfreesboro Pike be implemented in the very near future. And so this highlights the need, I think, for improved transit access out there. Of course, we're going to rely on the airport to be a good partner in their ground transportation center as we do that. But I think it also highlights maybe some of the risks. You and your listeners probably paid attention over the past couple of years as the state proposed a takeover. I think the more local we are in administration of the airport, the better we are going to be able to resolve these things.
You're saying a state takeover of the airport authority.
Would be risky.
Yeah. And when you're talking about Choose How You Move, you're talking about the thing that we voted on, Davidson County residents anyway. Was that just last year?
Just last year. Coming up on the 1 year mark.
But additional sales tax, it's going to go for, all sorts of improvements, but mostly kind of bus service. So when you're talking about enhanced service, you're talking about like direct buses maybe that would go down Murfreesboro Pike from downtown.
Correct.
Quick access to the airport.
We do have a route that serves the airport right now, but the route route that it takes is, frankly, more workforce-oriented than traveler-oriented. And I think there's a way that we can better serve the not just the residents but visitors to Nashville, and Choose How You Move incorporates that directly.
Yeah. Well, we've got a call on this very topic. Bill from Brentwood, you're on This Is Nashville. What you got?
I got several things.
Well, let's limit it to one on topic, if you would.
Okay. Okay. So on the topic that you were discussing, what's going on with the hole in the ground that Musk is building, and did we have any say, yay or nay, on that at all?
Yeah, this has principally been a state-led initiative. I think, they look at it as kind of both an economic development and transportation initiative. And right now, most of the major state and metro departments are looking at it from a standpoint of we're treating it as a development proposal and running pre-application diligence on it. So the first thing that we've had happen in Metro was an application for a water discharge permit. But as far as we can tell, it looks like the proposal appears to take place primarily under and connected to state land and state right-of-way, with a couple of touch points with some of the authorities we've got locally. And so I know the Airport Authority is looking at this, the Convention Center Authority is looking at this, and certainly Governor's Office and TDOT looking at this. And basically where we are is we're doing the standard amount of diligence and review to make sure that safety and operations for everything we need to do as a local government and protect our residents is top of mind as we consider the proposal.
Bill, appreciate the phone call. If you'd like to join him on air, the number to ask your question to the mayor is 615-760-2000. If you're watching on YouTube, just drop it in the chat. I call it the comments section earlier, and Tasha, our managing editor, said, people don't call it that. It's the chat. Okay, drop it in the chat, and we'll work it here into the conversation. They keep me humble here. Let's move to a different topic, a serious one. We are still seeing people losing jobs or being disciplined over comments that they're making on social media about the tragic assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. They include at least 2 employees of Metro who've been, I believe, suspended at this point. Mayor, did you decide how they should be disciplined?
No, this is not ultimately going to be up to me, and we've talked extensively to our Department of Law about this, and it's complicated because let's start with where you started. I think there is no circumstance in which political violence is an appropriate response to how we engage in discourse, and so I condemn that in the strongest possible terms. And then we think about how we do have discourse that reacts to politically charged events like this. And I think you're seeing a couple of interesting things. You've seen some very troubling responses from a free speech basis. And then you've also seen, I think, some people participate in rhetoric that I would maybe characterize as overheated. I think what we're making sure of is we've had over the past few years, in fact, not just the Department of Law, but a few employees in departments in Metro have had, content that has been shared as part of personal accounts that has become public, and they have been identified as Metro employees. And realistically, the way the First Amendment plays out for private employers versus public employers is very different. And so the legal department is working on the advice they're going to give to the departments within Metro, and it will be up to the department leadership how they respond to the advice they get from Metro Legal and the disciplinary actions they take, if any, are warranted.
Our employers, like local governments in this case, but also, you're talking schools, universities. I mean, is some of this them just trying to avoid becoming a target themselves?
I think if you look even just in the past few hours at choices made by ABC with Jimmy Kimmel, you're seeing everything from the FCC looking at this as the government is going to step in and look at licensure on the basis of comment. And so again, we're in sort of an unprecedented territory with regard to state intervention and what one might otherwise characterize as what's supposed to be protected speech. And so a lot of complexity around this issue. And I know that's true up and down the chain, federal, state, and local. scenarios of employment, and then certainly the distinctions between public and private sector. I think, to my mind, this is the tricky balancing act of the First Amendment. Your right to say pretty much anything in most contexts is and has been fully protected for a long time. That does not mean saying things that are incendiary is free of consequence.
Yeah. If you'd like to join the conversation, the number to talk to the Mayor Freddie O'Connell, is 615-760-2000. And we've got calls coming in. We'll bring you in here momentarily. One more item. We saw Governor Bill Lee and Senators Marsha Blackburn, Bill Hagerty in the Oval Office with President Trump this week, essentially kind of approving of sending the National Guard to Memphis. It was interesting watching a press conference, I guess it was maybe over the weekend or late last week, from Memphis Mayor Paul Young. Is there anything you're learning from his approach to this in case Nashville is going to be welcoming the Guard sometime soon?
Blake, I am paying attention to not just, how state and federal authorities are approaching this issue from their side, but certainly Mayor Young, with whom I've got a good relationship. He and I are constantly in touch as two of Tennessee's 4 big city mayors. We've got a group there, and then we have the Tennessee Municipal League that gathers mayors of cities and towns of all sizes across Tennessee. So we have frequent points of contact here. I know this is a challenging moment for the city of Memphis. I think Mayor Young took office aware that that Memphis was perceived by a lot of people, and probably realistically so, as a city with some challenges in crime. I think by contrast, we collaborate regularly with Chief Drake. We have a multi-layered community safety program that includes co-response models like Partners in Care, the REACH program that sends mental health practitioners directly alongside first responders, including police and fire and medical. These programs are working, and in fact, this week, based on CompStat data from the Metro Nashville Police Department, we are experiencing what we hope to experience in the investments we've made across the board, which is that crime is down in all tracked categories of major crime. So we think we're in a much stronger position to make the case that our approach to safety is working here in Nashville and should avoid the need for federal intervention. I will say it is an unusual scenario to be considering the National Guard as a deployment force for public safety in a law enforcement capacity on a sustained basis. I mean, what we've seen in the nation's capital over the past several weeks of summer is an extraordinary event, and I hope that mayors across America are looking at this as something that we should be considering how we're making the case publicly for the things that we're doing on the ground that are focused on the safety of our residents.
Yeah. It's time to get to the phones again. John from Bellevue has maybe a question on sidewalks. John, you're on This Is Nashville, and you got the mayor.
Hey, thank you. And thank you, Mayor. I hope everything's going well. It sounds like you're on an upbeat.
Hey, John. Yeah, I think we've got this is one of those days where there's a lot of good news and good momentum moving into the world. So I'd say right now as I sit here, yes, but the day is long.
Yeah, we certainly need some good news. It's been a tough news cycle. And while I was on hold, I was kind of enjoying the conversation. I was thinking about, when I get the mic, I want to put a quick stab in on noise abatement across Metro because we are the music city, and I worry about noise. But more importantly, the reason I'm calling is that my son and I fixed a small section of the Harpeth Greenway Trail a week or two ago, and that section had been damaged, and we were just blown away at how there were like 40 or 50 comments and over 700 likes on the HIP Bellevue page, and with that, we really started talking to a lot of friends and people about sidewalks and connectors and getting more people exercise and everything. And then there's a Section 8 housing development on Highway 70 near Eddie's Hardware and McQuarrie Lane, and we're really concerned about that not connecting to some local retail with some sidewalks. So really, the three things I want to say is sidewalk, sidewalk, sidewalk.
Yep. John, heard you loud and clear. You're probably aware of a couple things. We've had a strategic plan for sidewalks and bikeways in Nashville for a long time, just called Nashville Walk and Bike. It has identified, along with some of the things we've explored through Vision Zero, we've got about $1 billion backlog in sidewalks. And when I was on the Metro Council several years ago, we took an approach that tried to work with our private development community to engage on a partner basis with that. We've seen some litigation that's limited our ability to have the development community participate more in our sidewalks program. But the good news is, as we've averaged about 6 miles a year of sidewalk construction just on our own terms, we've also now, with the approval of Choose How You Move, we're going to get to supercharged sidewalk delivery. So we get about 86 miles of sidewalks now over the next 15 years. Some of those initially funded sidewalks should be in design and construction in just the next few months. And good news for you in Bellevue residents, we've already started to see on Old Hickory Boulevard and other areas of Bellevue some new sidewalks getting on the ground just this year. I will tell you, I've worked with both Councilmember Spain and Councilmember Wiener out there in Bellevue to understand some of those infrastructure priorities in that area you just mentioned on Highway 70. I know is on Councilmember Spain's radar, and we are looking to try to see if we can accelerate delivery at key locations like that where there are a lot of connections, a lot of safety issues. So just know full well that sidewalks are a top priority for me. It's why it was one of the core principles of the Choose How You Move program, and know that they're very, very strongly supported by your council members as well. And so we're trying to deliver as quickly as we can. Sabrina Sussman in our office is our chief program officer for implementing Choose How You Move, and she works very closely with our Nashville Department of Transportation to deliver as much as we can.
John, appreciate the call. Sidewalks. We hear you in Bellevue. Let's take one more call before our first break, if we can work it in here. Marie from Antioch, you're on This Is Nashville with Mayor O'Connell.
Hear you again.
Marie, you may have to start over. I fat-fingered
Marie,
the button
I think
here.
we missed the first couple seconds of your question.
Oh, I was saying hello to the mayor. It's good to hear him again.
Oh, hi, Marie.
I live in the Antioch area, in the area between Dove Creek, Mountain View Road, and Anderson Road.
Yep.
And it's a complex community. We have a lot of different people living there. There's never been any problem. But around the beginning of this year, there was a group that moved into a house. It's a group of men. There are no women or children. And when they come home from work, they drive down the street just blasting their music. When you talk to the homeowners association about the problem of the loud music, they say, well, that's a Metro issue. You need to call Metro, or if the house is overcrowded, you need to call Metro Codes. Is there anything Metro can do about that?
Yeah, there is, Marie. And so let me just give you a few tips and we'll see what might work. I want to share a couple of items of news with you, and then, then we can see what might be the most effective for you. And certainly would invite you to do a couple things. So 2 bits of good news. One, in just a few weeks, we'll be opening a new Southeast precinct that will serve the Antioch community with Metro Nashville Police Department prepared to fully staff that brand new precinct. That should be open by November. So I think that's good news for the overall safety of the Antioch community. And those officers will be prepared to respond to things that are safety based in nature for this group of new residents that you're dealing with. 2, in this budget, we funded an important new initiative of nighttime codes inspectors, and they work, they're kind of cross-trained with our Office of Nightlife and the Metro Codes Department, and they will work hand in hand across all of those. So you've really got those kind of 3 resources working together, with the Office of Nightlife, which can work on noise after hours, the Codes Department, which pays attention to property standards, including some noise violations, and then our Metro Nashville Police Department, of course, available to weigh in. And so what I would say is, if there is something that's happening in real time and it is clearly a violation of local law or codes, absolutely call 311 and make a report about it. Similarly, if it's just sort of an ongoing nuisance and you can sort of pinpoint hours in which it's the worst, you can use Hub Nashville to report it, just hub.nashville.gov, or we've got an app that you can get on your smartphone. And then if you don't mind, I would say please send us just kind of a description of just, the general area of the neighborhood. I know you kind of gave us some cross streets there, but if it's within an HOA, just whichever one of the HOA communities that you're seeing this issue happen in, just send a note over to mayor@nashville.gov so that we can respond to it with our own constituent services team to make sure you're getting everything that Metro can offer by way of enforcement here.
Marie, really appreciate the call from Antioch. And listen, we get down to the street level here, and that's why we welcome your calls. Several callers waiting on the line, but we need to take a quick break. We'll get to you as soon as we get back. If you want to join them in the queue, do it quickly, 615-760-2000. When we come back, more questions. Maybe we'll work on one about Dolly's Hotel or something else. The number is 615-760-2000, or you can leave a comment in the chat of our YouTube video. It's youtube.com/@WPLN. Stay with us. This is Nashville.
Funding for This is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP, and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. We have Mayor Freddie O'Connell for another 10 or 12 minutes here, and we're going to work in as many questions as we can from you on the phones. The number to join the queue is 615-760-2000. And Mayor, if it's okay, we're going to get straight to it.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Rizgar in Nashville, you've been on the line waiting very patiently. I think you may take us back to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, which we were talking about before, but you have Mayor O'Connell.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. How are you all doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Hey, I am very pleased to talk to you, even though that we are different. I am a very conservative Republican, I would say. Not a big fan of Trump, but let's get straight to it. On behalf of what you guys spoke about, Charlie Kirk and the assassination and the disciplinary action that have been taken against those who are speaking or commenting to it in a negative way. Now, my question is, were they disciplined or discharged or laid off because of the freedom of speech and speaking their own opinion and violating their rights with the First Amendment? Or was it because they are actually promoting such an act of violence? And was it because they are promoting that if I disagree with you, I should just go ahead and kill you, and ultimately saying, he deserved it, just like the guy in New York, the CEO of the insurance company. I mean that's a human being. If I say it was wrong, it was wrong. If I have to disagree, I would disagree, just like I disagree with you guys here. And lots of things, but I really do have high respect with you guys, and I'm respectfully talking to you guys now. I don't think anyone should promote such things, especially that we are in a world that media is taking over anything and influencing everyone.
Hey, Rizgar, Rizgar, appreciate your point here. Mayor O'Connell, can you kind of answer the question on sort of the why there?
Rizgar, let me just be clear. I think here's what I know. I haven't reviewed any specific comments, right? I mean, for me personally, I don't typically get involved in individual HR matters, but I will say there does seem to have been some public outcry from people in the federal government, and I think there was sort of a process of looking for people who may or may not have made controversial comments, and so I think this is being reviewed right now. I do think there are a couple of people in a few metro departments who have been basically put on administrative leave, and then I think we follow an HR process that will determine whether any of Metro's social media policies or other HR policies have been violated, and then again there will be a discretionary disciplinary action taken. But I do think it's important for people to understand that this is not a choice that I get to make unilaterally as an executive, and also that there are differences in the way First Amendment cases have historically played out in public and private sector contexts. But I think the bottom line here that we do agree on is that political violence is an unacceptable response to differences in discourse and ideas.
Rizgar, we really appreciate the phone call. Thanks a lot. We're going to move on to Ben in East Nashville, who has also been waiting patiently. What you got on transit here? Ben,
you there?
Yep.
Go for it.
Yeah, we got you.
Wonderful. So, primarily two things. I've got a quick third if you've got time. I was
Okay.
wondering what an update on the Davidson Street repair is for the Greenway path that runs from East Nashville to downtown.
All right, Davidson Street. Hey, let's take them one at a time, Ben. Davidson Street repair. So this is that sort of industrial road that goes along kind of the river, connecting almost Titan Stadium area over to Shelby Park.
Ben, let me get an update because I know that's such an interesting stretch that spans from the East Bank Development Authority area and the footprint of the stadium all the way out to Shelby Bottoms, and so I need to get an update. And Blake, so you and your listeners know we've tried. Pay attention as we do this. I know WPLN does such a good job of kind of keeping listeners up to date on social media. We've started to get into a habit of cataloging what we can from these discussions and posting
I saw
responses.
that. No, we really appreciated that.
So, Ben, look for an update there. Certainly feel free to also just for, kind of public record purposes, send a note over to mayor@nashville.gov, and we'll see if we can get you that response, but we'll try to also put it in our overall responses. So that's number one.
Thank you. Number two, I've been patiently waiting for about 15 years for the Opry Mills Greenway connector.
Yeah.
And for the last 5 years, I've been hearing construction will begin this spring, this summer, this fall. Is there any sort of update on what's going on with that?
That's a great question, because I know when I was on Metro Council, we finally secured a key easement as a part of that, but that's another one we're going to have to go see where we are. I know we have done a lot of Greenway construction. We've also done some Greenway repairs. You probably are aware that as we've seen an uptick in extreme weather, we've also had to go back in and make some repairs to Greenway bridges and segments that have washed out and so forth. You just heard a little bit about that in Bellevue recently, because I know the community out there has flagged some of those moments. But let's dig into that too, because I know from my days on council, I was eager to see that extension of the Greenway completed.
All right.
And I know Councilmember Syracuse worked really
Yes, he
hard.
did. Yes, he did. And I know Councilmember Gregg supports it as Councilmember Syracuse's successor. So let's see if we can get you an update there.
All right, Ben, let me sneak this in here. If you want to call, we have just about 6 minutes left with the mayor. So call in now if you've got a question. That's 615-760-2000, or hit us on the chat in the YouTube stream at youtube.com/@WPLN. All right, one last question, Ben.
How can somebody go about getting a bus line reinstated? I live on the number 4 line. That
yes.
was one of the
An East Nashville memory that's lost. Yes.
And I went from having my bus line a quarter mile from my house to now it's a 2-mile walk from my house. So I just take my car everywhere instead. Is there some way to lobby to get that restored to where it was?
Sure. There is, if you go visit what is now WeGo Transit's website, and I say this from being a former board member of the Transit Authority myself, the board and staff absolutely take public comments into consideration. I would certainly go take a look right now, because the winter service changes are actively proposed. Sometimes it's a challenge. I know when I joined the board, we had this, 2008 fuel crisis when we lost a couple of key neighborhood routes, including, a 100 Oaks route that came through Berry Hill. We lost a Sylvan Park route that was more of a neighborhood route. We're in a position now where we're able to expand the system year over year, but a lot of that is going to be in accordance with things that are directly in Choose How You Move. But kind of like sidewalks, the idea is that this is supposed to be a both-and process so that we can develop the entirety of the program of Choose How You Move, but also knowing that NDOT's going to continue to do sidewalks where necessary and other infrastructure improvements, state of good repair on local roads and bridges, and that WeGo is going to continue to do community-based expansions, I would certainly go visit wegotransit.com, send in that comment, and feel if your schedule ever allows for it, even consider showing up to a board meeting and recommending that. But right now, while those service changes are in effect, as WeGo staff do both virtual and in-person meetings to consider that, try to get to one of those because I know from having done it before I was on the board, I used to show up and advocate for specific routes and facility improvements and those kinds of things, and that stuff really does matter. So please use your voice in any one of those ways.
Ben, thank you so much for using your voice today and getting in some questions. Let's work in two more things, one call, one from here. During the pandemic, the city purchased more than 100 housing pods.
Yep.
And I think at the time it was about isolation potentially. But that fell through, and they were going to be used for housing, some help out with homelessness. That kind of fell through for some reason. And then there was a call out to churches and homeless outreach organizations to take these pods off the city's hands. So far, no one has. Is there a plan C?
Well, Blake, I guess what I want to do is go revisit this. So to your point, we took office in this frustrating environment where we had used COVID-era pandemic federal funding to go do what was, I think, a good idea that remains a good idea, which is to get some temporary shelters that are known as pods that can be used for rapid rehousing scenarios. We had an environment where a combination of state and federal, kind of codes compliance and fire safety matters limited our ability to use those for a couple of years, but we worked, and Councilmember Aaron Evans was a leader in this work. Darren Jernigan in our office did a lot of negotiation with local and state authorities to make sure we could put them into use, and then our Office of Homeless Services put out an RFP to try to say, great, we've got these available now to our nonprofit and provider community, come use them. And nobody raised their hands and said they wanted to. Yeah. So I want to go back and understand if there was something about the RFP that was, somehow a non-starter for people, if there's some other way to get them. I guess the good news is we've got all the approvals necessary for them to be put into use in the world, but now we need the partners who can step up and take advantage of them. So they are
partners with property, perhaps.
Partners with property, probably a little bit of operating capacity. And it may have just been that as we made them available, people had not put in that little bump in operating cost to get them up and running, but I do want to get them back into the world.
Okay. Let's squeeze in one last question in your last minute here. Here's Roxanne from Donaldson. You're on This Is Nashville.
Hi, I'm Roxanne, and I live in Donaldson.
Hi, Roxanne.
And how are you?
I'm well,
thanks. I moved in 35 years ago, it was a very quiet neighborhood. However, a recycling plant moved in and produces extraordinary cacophony of sound at all hours of the day, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, in the afternoon. It significantly reduced the quality of life for those of us that live around there. But more broadly, what is Nashville doing as far as noise pollution? Because a lot of other cities have put a lot of effort and thought into that. And given the growth and the construction and the continuing expansion, of necessary services, it's a real problem, I think.
Yeah, Roxanne, this is something I spent 8 years on council working on because I represented a lot of the urban core, and so we had it all. We had music and loud cars and construction and all of those things. And then, interestingly, I also dealt with, I think it was a manufacturing facility that was on one side of the river where the location caused the noise to carry over to another side of the river. It's something I've thought a lot about, and it can be really challenging. But I will say this, that recycling facility they are supposed to be complying with local noise ordinances. Let me ask it this way. Have you ever so far tried to work on an enforcement capacity or made contact with the facility? Okay.
I called codes who told me that I should have known that when I moved in.
I think you were there before the recycling facility.
Yes, I was. I've contacted my council member unsatisfactorily, and this has been a number of years ago.
Okay.
I've also been told to call the police precinct. But there are so many more important things that the police can be used for.
Right.
Really seems.
But coming back to it, We do now have these new inspectors that are kind of all hours, and they're funded and cross-trained. I mean, I do think this is the thing. We are very focused on trying to get these quality of life issues right. And so I don't want to give up on the idea. Can I ask too, have you ever made direct contact with management of the facility?
My neighbor has.
Yeah.
And there for a while it was better. But because it's not enforced and
Yep.
because there seems to be no attention,
Yep.
they can do really what they want to.
Okay. Well, Roxanne, can you give me the rough, what's kind of the rough part of Donaldson that this is in?
I live in the Lisa Lane, Willow and Drive area.
Okay.
But this noise also goes over into the Donaldson Hills area.
Yep.
And again, that's just our issue as a neighborhood.
No, I know.
There seems to be a much bigger issue that we really, and I appreciate what you've said, but that we really aren't paying attention to. And I think it contributes to people's psychological well-being, to finding peace of mind, to a greater quality of life than we're able to achieve all over Nashville.
Yeah, I used to work, Councilmember Withers did some really important work on East Nashville because we both kind of dealt with Ascend Amphitheater as it got up and running and had residents and businesses on both sides of the river. And we made some huge progress on that. And he did put together a pretty nice overview of sort of how noise is regulated in the city. And I think we may need to revisit that and see if we can come up with some more comprehensive strategies. But first and foremost, I want to see if we can at least get some attention to the thing that you're dealing with every day.
Roxanne, thank you so much for bringing that to the mayor's attention and to all of us here. Noise, it's an issue, but we do need to say goodbye to Mayor Freddie O'Connell. Send him on his way to eat his sandwich. What's your go-to order for a sandwich?
The Jersey Mike's crew right up here on Roosevelt Parks as you come into Metro Center.
Yeah, but what
That's a good
sandwich?
Crew. Oh, I usually get a regular 14 on rosemary parm.
All right, there literally was a question on the YouTube stream, the chat. So all right, it's the
I don't do it Mike's way though. I do oil but no vinegar.
Oil but no vinegar. All right, well, enjoy that sandwich today.
I will.
Thanks for joining us. See you in October. We're going to wrap up this hour with a segment we call our shared calendar. We're talking events in Middle Tennessee. We're going to be heavy on films this week. But what else is going on in Middle Tennessee? Give us a call. This is your time to share your calendar. 615-760-2000. We'll be right back. This is Nashville.
Freddie is a man in class. We want Freddie for our leader. Boosters, raise your champagne glass.
Funding for This is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. It's still your turn to talk, but now it's about our shared calendar. This is a busy time. 5Ks, fundraisers, festivals, birthday parties. What's happening that your fellow listeners need to know about? Ring us, pitch us on air if you like, 615-760-2000, or you can also drop it into the chat on the YouTube video stream, youtube.com/@WPLN. And you can watch the segment if you like. We're going to start with the screening of a documentary this weekend on Saturday at the Adventure Science Center. The subject is local cardiologist turned astronaut, Eiman Jahangir. Welcome to This is Nashville.
Thank you. It's exciting to be here.
Well, yeah. Well, so the film is called Liftoff, and I got a chance to see it to this morning, and did not realize that it wasn't just like a bucket list thing when you went to space on this Blue Origin flight last year. That you've been kind of trying to find a way to space for a long time. What kind of role, I wonder, growing up here in Nashville, did the Huntsville Space Center play in this fascination with spaceflight?
I will say that of all the places for us to immigrate, Nashville was probably the best one because Huntsville was 2 hours away.
I guess Houston might have been,
Yeah, but it's not as nice. We've got rolling hills. The Huntsville Space Center was hugely integral because when I grew up, it was the shuttle era.
Yeah.
There was the movie Space Camp. I don't know if you remember this one.
I remember Space Camp.
Yep. And so we would go down there. And
Did you go to Space Camp?
I did when I was an adult. I took my son as soon as I could, but I didn't when I was younger. But I wanted to. I think I applied for the scholarship a few times.
Yeah.
And just seeing those rockets and realizing that we were doing this as humans. These were our pyramids, right? We were building these huge machines and going out into space.
It's kind of the biggest thing you could do. Is go to space.
Absolutely. And still is. It's still the biggest thing we can do, which is, I think, amazing.
Yeah. Well, the documentary screens this weekend at the Venture Science Center, which I guess means that it's in the planetarium, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's some. Have you seen it on the ceiling in there?
I have not seen this there.
Right.
Yeah. I've been to the planetarium. They have a new, I don't know if you knew, they had a new basically camera that's like higher resolution this last year. I think it does like 8K resolution for stars. So it's pretty epic.
All right. So, we do have a link to RSVP for that screening at the Venture Science Center this weekend at our website. This is Nashville.org. But yeah, as far as your own space future, I mean, you get to go up to this suborbital flight, but is there, I know you've aspired to be, I guess you are an astronaut in some respects, but is there more space in your future?
I hope so. I will continue to do what I can to get to orbit. And if we start going back to the moon, which hopefully in the next few years we will, and someone offers me a ride, I'm not going to turn it down.
All right, you heard it right here, folks. Eiman's going to stay with us as we kind of take your calls and hear from other folks. Let's go to another screen, though. The Nashville Film Festival starts, I believe, today, runs through the weekend. 140 films, some local, some from elsewhere. Karla Murtha is the Emmy-nominated director, producer, and editor of The Gas Station Attendant screening Saturday afternoon. Hope it doesn't compete with your screening, Eiman. But thank you for joining This is Nashville. Karla Murtha.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're loud and clear. Spoiler alert, the gas station attendant is your father. There's some beautiful home movie footage, which I guess you kind of expect with these sort of things from time to time. But you also have recorded phone calls. What made you record phone calls with your father while he was working at a gas station?
Yeah, I recorded those phone calls probably 20 years ago now.
Well, that's what I figured.
Yeah, it was a while ago. And originally it was just to kind of keep him company. And he, I had just moved to New York and I had always heard him tell his stories about how he came to the States. And it was always like a fairy tale to me growing up. And so I thought it would just be like a fun thing to do, to keep him company at night. But hearing them while he was working at a gas station, they all of a sudden sounded so different to me. And, it would be the sound of a cash register interrupting his story. And he would talk about living on the streets of India and then meeting this couple by chance from Houston, Texas, who eventually changed the course of his life. But in the context of the gas station, it started to make me really rethink what that ending was, that fairy tale ending, and kind of re-examining what the American dream really meant for him and for me, too. So
you're saying that you kind of, in these phone calls you would make to your father to keep him company as he worked late nights at a gas station in Texas, that you learned more of his story and then maybe it took a little shine off of his immigrant success story?
Well, they just sounded different to me. And then I realized that what, the typical American dream meant for him was different than what I thought it was, which, in the film is different. And also, I think, it took me a while to make anything with those phone calls. I didn't do anything with them for years until, 3 years ago. And it was really, I think having, lived my life and then, becoming a parent, you start to see your parents differently when you have kids. And of course, his passing, that made me kind of want to hear his voice again. But it was really my kids, because I would see them playing and they were the same age he was when he ran away from home and was living on the streets of India and working at a tea shop all day long. He was 10 years old. And I would see my kids and imagine them in that, doing that as well. And it just broke my heart.
Yeah.
And it made me want to kind of look back at his story and try and understand his life again.
Yeah, it hits differently now. So why Nashville? It's been screened elsewhere. Your connections here. Why are you at the Nashville Film Festival?
Well, I got in, so that was exciting.
Yes.
But this is also our southern premiere of the film, which I'm also really excited about. But we have a lot of connections in Nashville. My husband grew up there. His dad, Dr. Najia Boomer, was a doctor at Vanderbilt, and now that's where my husband Jad works. So I'm so excited to bring the film there. Although my film takes it takes place in Houston, most of it where I grew up. I see them as very similar cities with, they're very international cities with very vibrant immigrant communities. So I'm just really excited how the film is going to play in Nashville.
Well, Eiman says they're nothing alike. We have rolling hills. Houston did not.
Yes, we did.
Didn't expect Houston to come up twice today, but it did. But yes, for those who missed, your husband is Jad Abumrad, as in of Radio Lab. I'm sure he had nothing to do with convincing you to start recording these phone calls with your father 20 years ago.
I did use his equipment, an old Marantz.
The Marantz. Well, we got plenty of that here at the station. Well, I believe the screening is Saturday afternoon, but Karla Murtha, director of The Gas Station Attendant, it seems like it's a beautiful film, so congratulations. And it's one of the 140 films at the Nashville Film Festival this weekend, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's bring in a phone call. We have Leah from the Curb Events Center. What's going on here in the next couple of weeks that we need to know about, Leah?
Well, we are opening an art exhibit called Hey Good at the Curb Center for Art Enterprise and Public Policy at Vanderbilt University, and it features the work of multimedia artist Lanicia Rouse and her sister, who is Nashville poet Sienna Rouse.
Yes, I remember when we had our poetry podcast Versify. She was on there regularly. She was one of our stable of poets. Yes. So, and I'm sorry because there's so many Curb things.
I know.
Please help people situate the Curb Center at Vanderbilt.
The Curb Center at Vanderbilt is at 1801 Edge Hill Avenue, right on the corner of 18th and Edge Hill.
So kind of near Music Row, basically.
Absolutely. Okay. And the exhibit's going to be open to the public Monday, September 22nd through December 4th. Monday through Thursday, and our website has more details about it, but it's a beautiful exhibit exploring family history and the matrilineal line that Sienna and Lanicia have identified as being so important to them now.
Lovely. This is just a quick call out because it's kind of your last chance. If anybody else wants to call in, you need to do it now, 615-760-2000 to talk about an event that's going on this weekend in Nashville. There's a lot. It's a busy time. Leah, do tell me about this this exhibit. How much is poetry involved? And how much of it is other visual art?
Well, I think viewers are going to be really surprised by the way that text and image kind of move together throughout the exhibit. It's definitely a two-artist exhibit, and it's definitely got some beautiful, beautiful imagery, kind of repurposed family, not necessarily heirlooms, but like objects that the Rouse sisters brought from their grandmother's home. So it's a way of thinking about family and the stories that we inherit and the stories that we choose.
Well, thank you. Leah, thank you for bringing it to our attention and to the attention of our listeners. Eiman, you're a cardiologist on the Vanderbilt campus. Are you primarily at the main campus or are you at 100 Oaks?
I'm at the main campus. I actually used to live right near the Curb Center, so very familiar with it, and I wish I still lived in Edge Hill because I'd walk over.
Well, I kind of wondered if, there's so much on Vanderbilt's campus that, galleries and events that are going on. For folks who just like, this is where I go to work every day, and I'm not, how often are you sort of like using what's on campus to enrich your life?
I mean, we're pretty busy in medicine, but I did drag my brother out one day for 1 hour to they have an art gallery across the street on 21st Avenue.
Yeah.
And I said, let's go check it out. We we'll try to find time to walk together when we can.
Really?
Like
and this is your brother,
month.
Alex Jahangir, who many people know his voice because of COVID-19. He was I don't know what his title was at the time, actually. Somehow it's escaping me. But he was
chair of the Board of Health, I think.
The task. That's why. He chaired the Board of Health, so he was kind of our chief spokesperson. So y'all try to walk together, and you walked over to take it down?
Yeah, to check it out, and it was beautiful. I mean, I'd never been. You see it all this time, and finally we made it over after 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a wonder. Well, do you all try to walk on the weekly basis or something?
We try to walk when we can. It's, he's doing 8-hour surgeries sometimes, and I'm running between the hospital and clinic. So we'll text, are you around?
All right. Well, Alex, are you around today? We need a walk. Thank you so much. That's all the time we have. Dr. Jahangir, thank you for joining us, talking to us a little bit about space. Thanks everyone else who called in to share their calendar. I don't know, you're making this community a better place for all of us to call home. Thank you for tuning in this hour. This is Nashville's a production of Nashville Public Radio. Today's episode was produced by Mary Mancini. She's also answering phones, I believe. It was directed by Tasha A.F. Limley, pulling double duty, working the cameras for the video stream on YouTube. Board operator, making it all look easy, Liv Lombardi. The masterminds behind our theme music are LaRange and Namir Blade. Listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get good podcasts. You can check out the video, which will be archived at youtube.com/@WPLN. You can also just ask a smart speaker to play the latest episode. It's that easy. The conversation doesn't have to end here. You can comment, tell us what you want to hear on the show by leaving us a message at 615-751-2500. You can also find us on the socials at This Is Nashville. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer. Go in peace.